Andy didn't seem too fussed either. But Andy,
No, mate, it's all about the main event for me next week, to be fair.
So you are excited about Josh Taylor making his return to the ring after, I don't know, 18 months or some shit
Mm-hmm.
against Teofimo Lopez. He's 99 problems, and a bitch is about half of them for Mr. Lopez.
Oof.
And you know what? I'll tell you what, there's something about loose cannons, though, Andy, is that, yeah, they might break down maybe, what was that? Was it Oliver McCall against Lennox Lewis? Um, is that
Yeah.
yeah?
Mm.
Yeah, maybe you see that, or maybe you just see some freak going in there swinging for the fences, and he catches the guy.
Mm.
He's a bit of a wild card,
So's Taylor, mate.
but he's a skilled guy. Yeah, I'll tell you in the interviews, Andy. I think Taylor is definitely more under control than
Oh,
Lopez.
aye. Without doubt, mate. I'll tell you one thing about Taylor and that as well. I think he's he's rededicated himself. He looks more focused and he looks bang on the weight, which is the main thing. He doesn't seem to be kind of chucking it as well, towards the back half of the fight week. He seems to be, banging the mood for it. I was listening to some of the stuff. I think some of the more longer documentaries will be popping out this week, I'd imagine, for the fight. But I seen a brief kind of like outlay of the big, I don't know what it was, press conference that they had, and Lopez is just talking complete gibberish, mate. Absolute gibberish. This is what we do. This is why we're here. And Taylor's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, mate? Just complete shit." And then obviously he's going on about, his wife's divorced him again, and he's trying to take half his assets and half his mind just does not seem to be in it. We all heard him talking about he was wanting to kill him, put a body in the record, all this type of shit and that as well. I just don't think the guy mentally is there at this point, and it's probably a bad thing to say, but he's got too many people in his ear. He's got too many mouths to feed. He's the main breadwinner of the family. He's going through a massive upheaval in his personal life. He's got a kid to this woman that he doesn't get to see. And a guy like Taylor, mate, I'm telling you, he's a bad man. He's a nasty dude when he wants to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Taylor come in the cunt this week and start mentioning the wife and start mentioning the kid and all that type of stuff, just to get into his head, wrap him up some more in it. Because the more Lopez comes at Taylor, and I think it suits Taylor's style of fighting. He's a massive 140 fighter. Lopez is just still trying to settle into the weight. And if all he's looking for, like he did in his last fight, who was it he fought in his last fight? I think he went the
Sandor
distance.
Martin.
Martin. He was lobbing in that left hook, looking for it constantly the entire night. If that's what he tries to do against Taylor, southpaw, he'll block that shot, go right down the middle with a left hand, and catch him square on.
Or catch him with those check hooks like Martin was getting him with coming
Yep,
in.
there's that as well. Look, that said, I still don't know about the outcome of the fight in terms of how does it end by a stoppage. I don't think it does. I think Lopez has got enough pride about me. He'll maybe gut it out to the end, and maybe Taylor wins out in points. But I just don't like the signs coming at the Lopez camp. It's just too many. There's just too much. There's just too much in the shadows for him at this point. Taylor, if he got Taylor maybe at the time he was fighting Catro, it might be an ideal time for Lopez. But as I say, Taylor's now got himself back into focus. He's changed camps. He's got a proper trainer this time involved. He's got a strength and conditioning coach. He's back to eating properly. Obviously, remember he was mentioning about going up in weight after
He's
the
been
Catro
out
fight.
of the ring for a
True,
year
but
and a
then,
half with
mate,
bullshit upon bullshit.
well, apparently did you hear this one? He's the foot injury he had in the build up to the most recent suspended Catro fight. I heard it was that bad. He's had to change up how he trains, so he can't go out running constantly all the time and that. Now I think he's got to do swimming basically. So the injury was bad enough that it's forced him to kind of change up how he trains a wee bit.
Wasn't it some like a nasty case of like plantar fasciitis or some shit like
I
that?
don't know. But I do know it was bad enough for him to change up how he trains and that. So if it's changed it up and he looks how he's looking, which is in phenomenal shape, I think it's probably been for the better actually. And I forget the trainer's name for Liverpool and that, but he seems quite highly rated. And Josh seems to be listening to him because I don't think he really listened to Ben Davison and that. You saw him. You saw it yourself. I thought he regressed under Ben Davison, and you could say maybe he took his eye off. You could
Probably.
he took his eye off the prize post after the Ramirez win. He's made a big effort. He's won undisputed title. after the World Boxing Super Series and that as well. After winning that, he's maybe just took his eye off the ball a wee bit for the Cattrall fight, and he admitted that as well. But as I say, I have heard the injury was bad enough for him to change up how he trains. So it seems to be for the better at least. So if he's managing a wee issue, that might work in Lopez's favour. Who knows? But we've seen Taylor take punches. We've seen him marked up. We've seen him cut. I don't think he'll be phased. Whatever Lopez brings to the ring, he's seen it all as an amateur. He's seen most of it as a pro, and I expect him strongly to win the fight. So I'll say Taylor on points.
Taylor on points. Interesting. Steve, for me, I don't think I can confidently make a pick on this one until I see the weigh-in and what the fighters look like on the scales. I just have a lot of curiosities about how Taylor's making 140 pounds this round. We've heard plenty of stories of, oh, I'm eating right, oh, I have a nutritionist, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're done at a weight, you're done at a weight, and it doesn't matter what they're putting in your mouth. It's just you're gonna weigh what you weigh.
Yeah, no, I think that's an absolutely fair point. We're not sure where Taylor is at physically, and equally so, I don't know where Lopez is at mentally, or I don't know where either of them are at mentally. Andy made a lot of good points. I feel the
No,
same
I
myself.
think we know where Tio's at mentally. I think of all the
Yeah,
unknowns in the fight, that's not one. He's a fucking nut bar who's got 10,000 things going through his mind, but he's fucking mad, and that's the interesting thing. Like that's why I disagree with Andy. I don't think this goes to the card, Steve. I think this is going to go knockout one way or the other. I think Tio's coming out there to take out his pain and aggression on something, and he's either going to land his shot or he's going to get sparked himself.
yeah. I think away from the ring, he's definitely lost the plot. He's sending out all these strange tweets, and his personal life is certainly dissolving away. His old man doesn't help the whole situation. I think they have this kind of toxic dependency on each other. They need to get away from each other, but it's never going to happen. And the ex-wife, man, she seems like a cold-cut woman to deal with as well. Brutal at ringside. I saw the footage at the time after the Sandor Martin fight when Lopez leant over to try and get the son, and she just gave him the dead eyes and wasn't for handing that child over, man. She ain't messing about, that woman. I'd say she could throw a mean knockout shot herself, but
Everyone wants a Latina woman until you choose your Latino wife.
Exactly. That's like a L number 2 on his record, I think. But Taylor's been badly inactive as well. He struggles at the weight, as you mentioned. Can he get inside and bully Lopez? Maybe he'll stand off and box a little bit, as he did at times against Ramirez. He has different strings to his bow. I know people don't like him away from the ring, Taylor, but in the ring, I'm a fan. I think he's a great fighter. I think his resume stands up to anybody. The wins and the manner he did them is absolutely fantastic. We were talking about pound for pound material earlier, and no one's going to put Josh Taylor in the top 10 pound for pound. But that run through the World Boxing Super Series or whatever it was, and then on to beat Ramirez was as good as anybody's done in that space of time. But as you said, Teofimo will be pumped up early on, and that's when he'll be dangerous. He'll be standing off, throwing really hard single shots, looking to get rid of his aggression. Maybe have some success like Prograis did, but Taylor will look to drag him into the trenches, and the later it goes on, that's when it becomes Taylor's fight for me. That's his portion of the fight. As long as he's rehydrated safely and the gas tank doesn't empty, which it hasn't showed signs of, to be fair, so far, even against Cattrall. He was getting outboxed and he was undermotivated, but he was able to keep plugging away, which is eventually the justification for him getting the decision. So if he can maintain that work rate, I think that's when it becomes dicey for Lopez. He takes over, Lopez starts to go backwards, goes into his shell a little bit, and his shots aren't having the same effect, and that's when Taylor will close the show on points for me. It'd be interesting, a stoppage either way. I wouldn't rule out a stoppage either way. Maybe Lopez catching him early on with a shot around the ear or something, or Taylor getting to him late on, but I think the safe bet is points either way, and Taylor for me. And I think it's better for boxing if Taylor wins as well. I'd rather see him do it.
The tough thing is we've seen Taylor pretty much against everybody at 140, and I don't know where he fits in the 147-pound division. I like a confident, competent, got his shit together Teofimo Lopez. I think it's better for him to win because there's some fights obviously that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the fact they're fighting each other is really good, but it doesn't sound like it's really caught much momentum. I don't know if Joe Kennedy's going or not, but he might be one of the only ones. I said they were struggling to shift tickets, and it doesn't have that big fight feel. You know, the way you hear a lot and you sort of get pumped up. It's kind of caught up on me. I mean, I could be the exception to the rule here, but for us, bigger fight as it is a massive fight, really, considering where they've been. over the recent years, but it's their recent endeavours, activities, and performances have meant that it's gone under the radar a little bit. So credit to both men and for Top Rank for putting this together. And I'd be interested behind closed doors. I always say this, the likes of Bob Arum, he'll say this, that, and the other to the microphones and to the talking heads, but behind the scenes, they'll know who they want to win. They'll know who they think's going to win and who they can deal with better going forward and what they can do with. And when the lights are off, kind of discussions. And I'd be interested to know who Bob and his crowd are rooting for here.
Yeah, isn't it interesting to try to process that in your head? Who and what and why? With all these fighters he's got avoiding 140-pound opportunities away from his stable. Bob is certainly looking at some in-house opportunities down the way, but I don't think anybody.
Sorry, see, to be honest, as you say, it is interesting, but would you really want Lopez to win? If you could start the card for one fighter in this fight, would you do it for Lopez, considering what he's gone through mentally just now? Can he hold it together going forward? That's the question. I don't think he can, mate. I mean, you're going to put him in a situation where he might become the number one guy off your promotion, and he just can't handle it. He just cannot handle the pressure.
No, I think that at the end of the day, he's going to have a few good wins, but I think that Teofimo Lopez is going to be a lot more questions about what he could have been than answers about what he was, and that's a shame.
Fucking Teofimo and Josh Taylor. I expect Josh Taylor to beat the shit out of Teofimo Lopez, and if I'm wrong, I'll be hugely surprised. I think the wheels have fallen off massively with Lopez inside of the ring, and there we go. We talk again about outside of the ring. There's him, 24 years of age, 23. Is he 23, 24? Wife has divorced him. She's taken half of his past and future earnings on some Jim Mosley shit. Not letting him see the kid. Now, I don't know what kind of a dad. He could deserve all that, but that's like a massive mental pressure that he's dealing with. Then he has the family that he's feeding. He has his dad in his ear in the corner. I think his last two performances, the one against Kambosos and the comeback one at 140, where he's saying, do I still got it? I really worry for that guy. I don't think he's all there mentally. And one thing you have to be against Josh Taylor is fucking mentally prepared, because he's not going to leave any stones unturned. Like, he's due a big performance himself after inactivity since the Catchell fight. He's staying at 140. There was previous talk he couldn't make the weight. He's ditched boxer size bend, so I fully expect the best version of Josh Taylor, and I think the best version of Josh Taylor at 140 takes some beating, by the way. He's beaten like Ramirez, Baranchik, Prograis, like a proper fucking bona fide world champion at 140. All right, should have probably lost the Catchell fight, but fellas have off nights, and sometimes there's fellas just better than you, or a style better than you. But for the most part, you would say Josh Taylor is a better fighter than Teofimo, or proved to be a better fighter than Teofimo at 140. We don't know what Teofimo was like at 140. We don't know if the power's carried up. He certainly doesn't seem to be able to have the fucking IQ to set the shots up when he was blasting out the likes of Richard Comey and that. Like, you thought the power was real. Definitely thought he hurt Lomachenko at box better than a lot of people give him credit for in the Lomachenko fight. But Kambosos' performance was bad, and the last one he was doubting himself. And I just think mentally, I could see a quit here. Like, I could see a quit at some stage in this fight. I could see him pulling out or make an excuse or something, or an injury or something like that. I think Josh Taylor's going to stop him. So